Okay, I'm here with Heather Van Cleve. Let's see if that's even pointed at you. What do you think? Should I begin asking you questions?
Yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Okay. When did you start making music?
Oh. Well, I was always making music. My mom likes to tell a story that I used to sing myself asleep when I was a baby.
Huh.
Yeah, so I think I was always musical. I was always making songs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn to play an instrument until I was 18. When I moved into my first place on my own, I chose the place because it had a piano that I could play. And that was when that started. But it was always my plan. I always knew I was going to play piano and write songs, and I just didn't have the opportunity to play an instrument. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I actually just hold this camera to make sure it hasn't stopped? Yeah. Cool. Do you still have that same piano?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a real piece of shit. Yeah, it was just a upright that belonged to my friend Achilles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the first band you ever played in?
It was a duo with a friend of mine, Daryl Scariot. He doesn't go by that name anymore. Now he goes by Daryl Shearer, which is his birth name. But it was called Daryl Scariot at the time. And I sang covers with him. Yeah.
Okay.
It was when I was still learning how to play piano, so I wasn't quite good enough to play out,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he was a real ball buster. He was really hard on me. Yeah, there were rehearsals where he'd be teaching me a song and he would have me sing the same line over and over again. I was really young. I think I was 19.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd be in tears, you know.
At rehearsal?
At rehearsal, trying to hit some note he wanted me to hit. Yeah, but I learned a lot of discipline from him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also learned what not to do as a band leader.
Okay.
You know?
And you're in that band leader position now.
Yeah. Currently there are 5 of us. Yeah. We just lost a member.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We lost one and an old one returned. We just got our old drummer back.
Oh, yeah.
We love.
He played great on Friday.
Yeah, Zach Morris. He's amazing.
He's a very sensitive player.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and he plays with a lot of great local bands that you know. He plays with Gabby Lala. He's the drummer.
Okay.
And he plays with Jen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's very dialed in.
He's a seasoned professional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really hip dude. I like him.
Well, your whole band is very professional and you run a tight ship. What do you have to say about being a band leader and the things you've learned so far?
I got to do a lot of observing. I sing with the Crux Tent Revival, and Josh Windmiller, a good friend of mine, leads that, and that's a really big ensemble. I think there was a couple times where there was as many as 13 of us.
Oh, wow.
And those practices, I mean, that's 13 people that are already friends with each other, and there was definitely like opportunity for chaos to happen.
Right.
And yet there never was. And those rehearsals went really smoothly. So I definitely was taking notes during that time and observing him. And he just stays really like cool and level-headed. So there's definitely like rehearsal Heather, and then regular Heather, and then stage Heather.
Yep.
And so when we're doing rehearsals, I don't joke around as much. And I just try to keep everybody on task. You know, and I'm very direct, like, yes, I like this part, or no, I need you to do this right now. And it's very, like, you know, I stay focused. Yeah, and that's really important, to be the one that's kind of keeping the cool and keeping everybody on task. And, you know, I got a lot of jokers in the band that like to, you know, there's a lot of puns being cracked, and they like to noodle around. Like, if I go to the bathroom, I come back and they're jamming on some silly tune, and I have to wrangle them back in, which is funny. So.
One thing that really impressed me about your show Friday was the multimedia, fully conceived event that you put together.
Yeah.
Is it hard to convince your band to dress in a way that's all matching? You were all in one kind of circus garb or another.
Yeah, sometimes. Our accordion and keyboardist Nate hates having makeup on. So that's always, I always have to wrangle him for that. But that's part of the thing. I told everybody who comes into the band knows there will be costumes and there will be makeup almost every show, you know.
This, by the way, is the Dollhouses that we're talking about.
Yeah. So that's part of the deal, you know, like, and so sometimes I have to remind Nate in particular. He was totally down with wearing a dress. That there was no problem with that. He was stoked.
You got makeup and a dress out of him.
Yeah, I was like, here's what you're wearing, because he was like, I don't have anything to wear that's circusy, and I was like, I'll figure it out. And so I was like, here's what you're wearing, and he's like, yeah, dress. And then he was like, but no makeup. I'm like, no, you gotta wear it a little bit. So he got away with blush and dark eyebrows.
That's great.
Everybody else loves it. Yeah, and is super down. So yeah. There's always going to be one person who's like slightly resistant. But whatever. I mean, I dyed his hair recently. He's got pink leopard print hair right now. So I mean, I do have a lot of free reign as it is.
Right on.
Styling everybody.
Right on. That impresses me.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I studied costume design in college, so it's really fun to be able to, you know, access those skills and apply them to the band. You know?
Sure. So you were in theater in that community in college.
Yeah.
You're also a painter and a poet.
Yeah.
Do you find those cultures to be different than the culture of people who make music or go to shows?
Yes and no. A lot of music, I would say a lot of poets and a lot of artists go to a lot of live concerts. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know any artists who don't listen to music while they're making art. I've never met someone who didn't. And I mean, I have like a whole CD book of like painting music at home, you know, that's separate from my other stuff. So no, but I would say like the artist community is a lot more solitary, you know, whereas the music scene is very much like everybody knows everybody, and we all help each other, and we all support each other, and go out to see each other's shows. And so there's more camaraderie, I think. I think when I was just, you know, making paintings, I think it's a more of a lonely activity, you know. And occasionally you'll find friends that want to paint with you, you know, side by side, but not very often. Whereas in the music scene, you meet people all the time that they're like, let's jam, or let's do this project together, or let's play a show together.
Right.
And so it's, yeah, I mean, it's a huge community. All of my friends now are from the music community that I've met that way. And I remember there being a lot more times where I was like lonely and didn't have as many friends and things. And yeah, when I was just doing art, definitely.
Can I ask a question about shows?
Yeah, of course.
What's your ideal environment for throwing a show? And what are some of the pitfalls, or what are some things that happen at shows that are challenging? Either when you're in the audience or on stage.
That was a lot of questions. Which one do you want me to start with?
What's your ideal environment?
My ideal environment for a show. If we're going off of things that I've done so far, I love playing house shows. That's my favorite. That atmosphere is totally different than when people go to a venue. I like playing house shows because people get comfortable. There's less stress about, like, I'm in public, how am I supposed to behave, you know, and people relax a lot more. And I think just that in itself. And then usually, I don't know why this is, but in Sonoma County, attendance is always really high at house shows. Even when there's a cover, even when you have to pay to get into the house show, more people show up. And I think it's because of that comfort level of, like, being in a home and, like, you know, taking your shoes off or, you know, whatever it is. And so I like that, the intimacy of that. And more people talk to you afterwards when it's at a house show. I like that a lot. I like it when there's a lot of people there. I mean, the more people are in the audience, you know, the better we play.
Right.
I mean, it really is a, you know, symbiotic relationship between the audience and the performer, and there's this give and take of energy that goes back and forth, and yeah, and being able to connect on that level,
right,
is really beautiful.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Would you like more sparkling water, Heather Van Cleve?
Yes, please.
I only have one hand, so.
Yeah.
So I know we've both seen the movie The Punk Singer that talks about the life and career of Kathleen Hanna and the Riot Girl scene.
Right.
And
Amazing.
there's a lot of discussion in that movie about going to shows as a woman and how it's challenging.
Yeah, I really related to that a lot, what she talks about. The thing that sticks out the most is, you know, there would be guys moshing up in front, and she would tell them to go to the back and mosh in the back. And I've definitely been at rock shows and punk shows and metal shows where that happened, and God, that was awful. You know, you'd be up front, and I'm, you know, 5'1 3/4.
Right.
You know, so I have to get up front if I want to even see what's going on. You know, and you're up front and you're enjoying the show, and then all of a sudden there's all these giant dudes, like, kicking and punching and thrashing around. And sometimes you couldn't go anywhere, you know. I had wiggled my way up there, and now I'm trapped up there.
Right.
Or there'd be times where, like, guys would literally just, like, pick you up and move you out of the mosh pit, which is just, like, so chauvinist. Like, how dare you move my body? Why are you touching me?
Yeah.
Like, you're deciding for me that I can't stand where I'm standing? Like,
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's that was infuriating, you know. Yeah.
I guess the Dollhouses music isn't moshing music so much.
Not yet. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. It's not.
And when you throw a show, do you have any hopes for the kind of experience it'll be for the audience?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. A lot of my songs are totally autobiographical, and I have a lot of songs that deal with abuse, child abuse, you know, sexism, those sorts of things, domestic abuse. And so I do have this hope that, like, I can connect with other people who have struggled in those ways, and, you know, and those sorts of things can be really isolating and make you feel really lonely or broken or damaged. And there's a lot of, like, stigma and shame attached to those things. And so I like to be really outspoken about that and sing about that to kind of remove those shameful feelings. And that's what I hope, is that, you know, that I'll help people in that way to not feel ashamed or to feel like they can speak out about those things and and connect with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'll
definitely
go to that
about
show.
Yeah.
That sounds promising.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge reason why I started writing music, is because I felt so lonely, and so the idea is that I'll connect with other people who have similar experiences, or people that didn't have perfect childhoods, or had some reason why people were oppressing them, or a safe place for people to go and connect and make friends and not have to hide anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to cultivate. Yeah.
I think it's happening.
Thank you.
From what I saw Friday. Can I ask, who are some of your heroes or influences? Could be just stuff you're getting into recently or all along.
Yeah. Heroes and influences. Joni Mitchell is definitely my biggest musical influence. She plays in a lot of alternate tunings, like I do, and all of her songs are autobiographical, and definitely come from a place of like starting out with poetry, yeah, and she paints as well. I definitely strongly identify with her. Frida Kahlo is a big. I definitely identify with her too. I mean, same sorts of things. She had a lot of abuse in her life. Her relationship with Diego Rivera was definitely what I would classify as abusive. And then she lived with a lot of chronic pain too, which I also experienced. And then also identified as bisexual or queer. I don't know what term she would have used, but she had relationships with men and women, as I do too, and so I relate to that as well. And she was definitely a feminist as well, which I like. Yeah. Currently, Amber the Activist. She's on Instagram right now. She is my favorite current feminist, and she's really powerful. She was raped this year.
Wow.
And instead of, there's so many ways you can process that kind of experience, and her choice was to go out, 2 weeks after it happened. She went out and she, started chalking the sidewalk and, writing, "I was raped 2 weeks ago and the police let my rapist go, stop rape, educate." And so she goes out every day and chalks some new message about this, and it's just so powerful. And totally refusing to let that society shame her for something that's not her fault. And obviously she gets into lots of conversations with people on the street, asking her about it or talking to her, sharing their stories, and yeah, she's just incredibly brave and inspiring, and yeah, she's my favorite right now.
I will look her up.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's really cool. Really cool.
She sounds bold.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah.
And you've already answered this question in some ways, but to bring it home, maybe as a final question, as a musician, what is your relationship to feminism?
Oh, as a musician, yeah. I feel like music is like a very big, megaphone, that you can potentially reach a lot of people with music. and reach them in an additional way to words, you know. You know, there's been studies that have proved that like music activates certain parts of your brain that no other form of communication does. Like certain parts light up when you experience music. And in that way, it's a really compelling tool to communicate and educate with. So I do think about that a lot when I'm writing lyrics. You know, do the lyrics I'm writing reflect my feminist point of view? Yeah, and I'm definitely tackling those ideas with that. Yeah, it's been hard. The music scene I grew up in was really male-centered, and I had a really hard time breaking into that. And there was just this kind of general attitude when I first started playing guitar that, oh, you play guitar, you must know 3 chords and just be some horrible folk singer, and you know. And there's some really negative stereotypes out there, and yeah, and luckily that's changing. And I think the internet in particularly is helping that landscape change, and the younger generations are, you know, growing up with different, you know, ideas, you know, and more access to different points of view, you know.
Do you feel like the scene you're a part of now is improved from the scene you grew up in?
Oh, yeah. It's
by that scale of feminism?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely improved. You know, a lot of the people that were perpetuating that chauvinist, you know, vibe, you know, moved away or had kids and families and don't play music anymore. So now it's a lot of my friends are, you know, under 30, and you know, some of them are not even 21 yet. And, yeah, you know, and so that's changing a lot. But it's not perfect yet. There's still, I mean, the society we live in is extremely chauvinist, you know. And so that's always going to be there, you know, until that changes, you know, it's going to infiltrate every aspect, you know? But it's getting better, and I feel like there's this big shift happening. I do feel like we're going to start seeing a lot more equality in the next 10 years, you know. People are talking about it more, you know, more activism is happening. Yeah.
That's great. I can feel it in the air too.
Yeah.
There's a tangible sense that things are changing.
Yeah. And it's getting more violent too, and that's how I know it's like, you know.
Right.
You know, I've been comparing it a lot recently to like, you know, like women have only been able to vote for a certain amount of time. Like it's been like 60 years, something like that.
Okay.
Like, very short amount of time.
Okay.
If you think about just that, like, you know, and like you think about like the slavery and like, you know, back when like, you know, like they used to hang like signs in the window, no coloreds, you know, and now we have the same thing happening, you know, with Indiana, you know.
Sure.
No gays and can go into this place and things like that. And I do feel like those are connected, you know, and that there was a lot of like resistance right when things started to change. Things got really violent, and, you know, I think, you know, the other side of that, the people that want to continue oppressing women and continue oppressing, you know, the queer community and the trans community and all of that, like, they can tell it's about to change, and that's why they're fighting so hard right now. They're like, oh crap, like, you know, this is going away.
Sure.
You know? And that gives me a lot of hope, you know. And I call myself an intersectional feminist, and that's, you know, all those things are connected, you know. You know, racism, you know, gender equality, all those things, they all connect, you know. It's all about people are oppressing us, you know, people are not treating us equally, you know. And if we can all connect and all link up, and all help support each other and fight for each other, we're going to see a greater change.
Well, Heather Van Cleve, thank you very much for answering these questions for me.
You're welcome.
And I know somebody will see this video and be inspired, more than somebody. People will see this video and be inspired and feel like they're not alone in their mission.
Thank you. Yes.
Pioneer Park, Novato.